All right, today we're doing something a little different. We're going to scrub in and get a look at a world that very few people ever get to see. The inside of an operating room. We're going way beyond the headlines about robots and lasers and diving deep into the incredible, hands-on craft of open vascular surgery. It's a place of unbelievable precision, some seriously specialized tools, and just life-saving skill.
And that brings us to the big question, right? In an age of all this incredible, minimally invasive tech, you'd think the classic approach, scalpel and stitches, would be a thing of the past. But what we're about to find out is that for some of the most complex problems happening inside our own bodies, the surgeon's hand is still the most advanced tool in the entire room.
So to really get why, you first have to understand that there are two main ways surgeons fix our body's vascular highways. On one side, you've got endovascular therapy. This is the modern marvel. Using catheters and wires, it's way less invasive and, yeah, it's often the first choice. But on the other side, you've got open surgery. This is the original, the foundational method, and for a very good reason, it is still called the gold standard when you're talking about long-term durability.
So let's talk about that. Why is this classic method, with all these high-tech alternatives, still the gold standard? It's really not about being old-fashioned. It's about getting results in situations where, frankly, nothing else is going to cut it.
Here's why it's so important. In many cases, open surgery just offers a solution with strength and effectiveness that you can't get any other way. It's the absolute backbone of these complex hybrid procedures, and it's the ultimate plan B when less invasive methods just don't work. And the decision to go this route, well, it comes down to really critical things like a patient's long-term health and the very specific map of their arteries.
Now, you can't just walk in and do this kind of work. It takes more than just skill. It demands a toolkit that is so incredibly specialized. I mean, these are instruments that have been perfected over decades for just one thing: to handle the most delicate tissues in the human body with care.
And it's so important to get this. These aren't just tools. They are, in a very real way, extensions of the surgeon's own hands. Every single one is designed with this unbelievable level of precision for a very specific job. This is where engineering and artistry totally meet.
Okay, take this for example, the atraumatic clamp. Its job is massive. It has to stop the powerful flow of blood pulsing through an artery. But, and this is the key part, without doing any damage to its super fragile walls. Think about it like this. It's like being able to stop a rushing river without crumbling its banks. That's the kind of delicacy we're talking about here.
And this quote, straight from our source material, really shows you the genius behind the design. It says, fine interdigitating serrations. You see? It's not about brute force. It's this precisely engineered surface that holds on tight but does it gently, so it doesn't cause an injury. That philosophy is behind every single one of these tools.
And of course, there isn't just one kind of clamp. A surgeon's tray looks like a master craftsman's workshop. For the massive aorta, you might grab a DeBakey-Bonson. For the smaller iliac arteries, you need a Wiley clamp. And for the tiniest little branches, you'd use a delicate clip like the Yassergill. It is always the perfect tool for the job, every single time.
So, having the right tools is one thing, but using them to get absolute total control over the torrent of blood flowing inside an artery, well, that's the first and most critical step of the entire operation.
And I can't possibly overstate this next part. A surgeon cannot make a single incision, not one, until they have safely and completely stopped the blood from flowing to that area. This isn't just, a step in the process. It's the fundamental thing that makes everything else even possible.
Surgeons basically have two main ways to do this. First is vascular clamping, which we just saw, where a clamp is put on the outside of a healthy part of the artery. But what if the artery is so diseased, so calcified, that a clamp might actually break it? That's when they use something called balloon occlusion. They actually slide a tiny balloon inside the vessel and inflate it to block the flow from within. It's just an ingenious fix for a super dangerous problem.
Okay, so with the blood flow safely under control, now the real repair work can start. And that means clearing out the blockages that are literally starving tissues of the oxygen they need to survive. This is the heart of the whole thing.
One of the most common emergencies a vascular surgeon faces is something called a thromboembolectomy. Basically, it's the removal of a blood clot that's traveled through the body and gotten wedged somewhere, cutting off all circulation, a lot of times to an arm or a leg. And in these cases, time is everything.
The procedure itself is just incredibly elegant. The surgeon makes a small cut in the artery, carefully threads a delicate little balloon catheter past the clot,
inflates the balloon just enough to grip the walls, and then gently pulls the catheter back, bringing the clot out with it. It's such a beautifully simple idea for a life-or-death problem.
Now, the other major repair job is called an endarterectomy. This isn't for a sudden clot. This is for that slow, nasty buildup of plaque, atherosclerosis. The best way to picture it is like carefully and methodically scraping hardened gunk from the inside of a pipe to get it flowing again.
And when they do this, the goal is nothing less than perfection. The surgeon has to get all the plaque out and leave behind a perfectly smooth surface. I mean, any little rough spot or edge that gets left behind could be a place for a brand new clot to form. It has to be a completely seamless transition back to the healthy artery.
So, after the vessel is controlled and the blockage is all cleared out, the final phase begins. Reconstruction. This is where the surgeon becomes an artist, meticulously rebuilding these vascular highways, stitching them all back together.
The technical word for this is anastomosis, and it's one of the most fundamental skills in all of surgery, simply connecting two things together. Whether they're repairing a torn artery or building a whole new bypass from scratch, everything, and I mean everything, comes down to how good that anastomosis is.
And there are two main ways they do it. An end-to-end connection is what you use when you're replacing a whole chunk of a bad artery, just connecting the two healthy ends. But an end-to-side connection, that's for creating a bypass. Think of it like a highway exit ramp, where you sew a new vessel into the side of an existing one to route blood around a traffic jam.
The material science here is just mind-blowing. These connections are made with these super fine, super strong sutures that the body will never absorb. When they use a synthetic graft, those tiny little stitches have to hold a high-pressure connection together perfectly for the entire rest of the patient's life. Their strength has to last, well, forever.
And this really brings us all the way back to that first question we asked. This quote from our source material just says it all. Even with all the incredible technological leaps we see every day, the hands-on skill of open reconstruction is going to play a huge, often life-saving role in medicine for a long, long time to come.
So, I'll leave you with this thought. In a future where medicine is only going to get more and more automated, what really is the value of the human hand? Maybe, just maybe, it's in the adaptability, the feel, the judgment, that irreplaceable craft that we just explored. A craft that continues to save lives right at that intersection of human skill and cold steel. Thanks for joining me.